Linda, so you have got deep origins in working on market mapping and talent mapping for clients. Why do companies choose to do a market map or talent map versus an actual search? Why would they want to do such a thing?
It really is to build out IP capability. It's to understand the landscape and to dig a little bit deeper into understanding what does that industry nuance look like? What does the skill look like? Does that skill actually exist? And if it does, where does that kind of candidate emerge from a skill perspective? And the beauty of that is it draws around EVP, around employee value proposition statistics, but it also digs deeper just in terms of understanding gender, equity, parity. But more importantly, it brings out the nuances in an industry and the particular skill that you're looking at. So, a big part of talent mapping is to understand and partner with the client in terms of what their long term strategy is and what their succession planning looks like. So, it really is just a trajectory around talent and the skill and where we can start selecting from a pool that is known to us.
I also see this taking place where companies want to make, let's say, an internal appointment, but they also want to benchmark the potential talent pool externally. Do you see that happening as well?
I do, and it really does form a big part of the process. So previously, it would really just be what does the external market look like? But the more traction we've gained in this area of expertise, we've realized that a lot of clients tend to overlook internal capability. So what does internal look like? And very often we can go internally and do the same kind of talent mapping to assist with their succession planning. And what does that look like versus a benchmark pool around external? So the two of them can dovetail and be used quite succinctly and successfully.
What about situations where an organization is wanting to build out, let's say, an internal division, and they want to get insight into what are the competitors doing? How frequently are we taking on market maps in order to help with insight into the competitor landscape?
That's probably the vein of where this comes from, is to understand the competitor landscape. So, because we represent it as a research affiliate, it's fairly easy for us to obtain a lot of information around competitor. What does that skill look like? What does that organogram look like? What kind of titles, what kind of roles, what kind of nuances do those individuals as well as the competitor have to offer? And what's very important as part of that, if you go the full process with regards to identifying the talent, it really is important to also start understanding what are benefits looking like. So clients are always wanting to know what the competitor landscape looks like in terms of benefits, salary earnings, more or less from a C2C perspective, and what are those retention programs that are offered to retain good talent.